Children benefit from playing with natural materials such as dirt, rocks, and water. So some folks have begun to make structures that facilitate such play. These structures can go by many names like stream tables, water tables, activity tables, or sensory tables. They can be very expensive and complex, or very simple and inexpensive. The one I built for my son cost about $100 and is made from materials that you can get from your local home improvement store. To begin, my table is simply a frame made of 2x4 lumber with a plywood bottom and legs made of 2x4s as well. I won't provide the dimensions of my table since they're not critical, and your table can be made to any height or width that you choose. Once I'd constructed the table, I drilled a hole in one corner for the drain. The size of this hole is up to you, but I suggest at least 3/4 of an inch to ensure quick drainage. I then inserted an appropriately sized plastic nipple from the store's irrigation department into the drain hole and secured it with silicone to hold it in place and ensure that water drains cleanly through the nipple and doesn't leak around the edges. I caulked all the seams on the inside of the table with paintable caulk. Once the caulk had dried, I sprayed several even and thorough coats of black Flex Seal to cover the inside of the table. To ensure that my stream table has a gentle slope from one end to the other, I placed a 1x4 under the legs at one end. I used a clear plastic closet storage container I got from Target as the reservoir for my water. Inside the reservoir, I put the smallest and cheapest fountain pump that Lowe's had. Yours can be bigger if you want, just make sure the one you get has the ability to adjust the flow. I attached appropriately sized tubing to the pump to carry the water from the pump to the front of the table. The diameter of this tube will depend upon your pump. I cut holes in the top of the reservoir to run my power cord and my tube to where they need to go. The tube runs under my table to the front and up through a short piece of electrical conduit from the store's electrical department. This conduit is attached to the table using a pipe mount from the same department. The spout assembly simply slips straight into the tube with no clamp or sealant. The actual height, length, and shape of your spout assembly can be whatever you choose, but I used a series of plastic and brass fittings and nipples from the plumbing or irrigation sections of the store to make mine. However you design your spout, make it movable and easy to manipulate since that's what the kids will want to do with it. In the table you can have just water or you can add crushed granite for the kids to manipulate and move around. I don't recommend sand or it will all quickly end up in your reservoir and require a lot of maintenance. I provided all shapes and sizes of containers for my son to fill and pour from. I also made my son some water troughs from PVC pieces he could use to direct the water. I glued a cap on one end of a short piece of PVC, then cut it in half to make 2 troughs. The trough supports are just a short 2x4 with a hole drilled in the middle that was big enough to fit the PVC pipe into. After drilling the hole, I cut the 2x4 in half at the middle of the circle. You can be creative and make these in various heights and sizes. Any dirt, rocks, or water you put in the table will eventually make its way to the drain. To protect my drain, I made a drain cover from 2x4 lumber and a thin piece of plywood. This lets water drain under it but keeps bigger things away from the drain. Water passes through the drain and re-enters the reservoir through a hole drilled in the lid on the side opposite of the pump. After several days of use, the water in the reservoir will naturally become dirty from dirt from the table as well as algae growth in warm months. When that happens, just dump the water and refill the reservoir. If you decide to build one of these, I encourage you to keep several things in mind. First, remember that it's for the children, so let them do what they want to with it. Let them move it, put stuff in it, take stuff out, or even disassemble it if that's where their little brains take them. You'll have put a lot of time into building this, but don't get so attached to it that you won't let them really use it. Second, be prepared for the area around your table to get very messy. It'll get dirty, wet, and muddy, so put it in a place where you're okay with that. Third, have a ball right alongside them and enjoy every minute you have with your little ones.